Okay, ready?
Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I've got chicken in my mouth.
Meat in your mouth, per usual.
Except it's been months.
Anyways, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Peekers. Welcome back. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie, and this is your one-stop shop for storytelling.
Tea spilling.
And to keep up on all the latest book talk drama that you have been missing out on.
Slay. Any life updates?
No. How about you?
The only thing I have to say is I'm not wearing pants right now.
Oh, I thought about doing that actually, but it is my camera's right in front, or my computer's right in front of my window, and I open my window during recording, for the lighting.
Right.
So I was afraid of flashing someone, but I love that.
However, you are sitting down, so would they even really see? Also, you walk around your house naked all the times, and I know your windows are probably open during that.
No, I'm not a whore.
There's nothing wrong with that. You can walk naked in your home if you want. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I live on the first floor apartment. Also, if I was 100% confident in my body, sure, I'd walk around naked with the windows open. But, still a couple fine-tuned things that I need to work on. So not comfortable with that yet.
One day, your neighbors will get the show of their dreams.
I also have 14-year-old boys that live next door.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm not trying to go to prison. Yeah.
Yeah. We can reverse out of that one real quick.
Reverse. Anyway.
Reverse. Well, then, hey, if that's all that you've got to say, then let's just get into it.
Get into it, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we want to remind you guys that we're going to be covering Sarah J. Maas's Queen of Shadows, chapters 21 through 30. So if you're new around here, this is your warning. We will be storytelling and recapping everything that's happened up to and through these chapters. So if you have not read and you do not want spoilers, this is your warning. Before we jump into the story time, let's do a quick recap of everything that's happened so far. Aelin is living up to the title name and is in her Queen of Shadows era, popping up in sketchy places and doing even crazier things in the name of saving the people that she loves. She saved her cousin Aiden from his execution at the Glass Castle and almost unalived possessed Dorian. She was only stopped because Arobynn had tipped Chaol and Nesrin that she might be doing what needed to be done to the prince. And in her defense, she did give him ample time to try to show that he was still in there, but he did not. Aelin and Chaol are still at each other's throats, while Lysandra has become an unexpected ally and friend to Aelin, and even admits to wanting to help her take down Arobynn. Duke Parrington has a new friend in Morath, Lord Vernon of Paranth, a region of Terrasen before it fell. With him, he brought his niece Alide, who is a crippled and chained little girl, which, after some sleuthing, Manon realizes is because she has some witch's blood running through her veins. Duke Parrington drops the latest plan to experiment breeding with the Valg and witches to Manon, and Astrid ends up speaking up about how she shouldn't go through and agree with this plan. So Manon demotes Astrid from her second position, and she is now in the third position. And lastly, Manon has some new revelations in the King's clans. It turns out he's forming an alliance with these Valg demons, not just to conquer this continent, but to conquer the world. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anything else?
Yeah. It's very scary.
Very scary. Things are getting intense, and dare I say, things are happening.
Things are really starting to happen. They really are.
They really are. So today's story, we will be picking up basically the day after Aiden gets saved. So the city is still in chaos. People are running around. Guards are everywhere. And Chaol is just beside himself, freaking out, spiraling, thinking how Aelin has brought all this chaos to his city and how it's probably going to get even worse. So in the midst of this chaos, he's like, you know what? I need to distract myself. Let me go on a solo mission. Operation, let's go find a Valg demon to see if the men that are possessed are still in there. Because he's like, Aelin said that Dorian is gone, and I just don't believe that. And I know where a nest of these Valg demons are holding their captives. So I'm just going to go down to this nest, check them out, try to capture one of them, and do my own little experimentation. He gets down to the sewers, goes to where the nest is supposed to be, but finds that it was empty. Cue further spiraling. He was just thinking about how everything is going out of control, everything is spiraling. He was helping an evil king. He let Dorian get possessed. Then he lost this nest of Valg demons and the victims that they have hostage, and now he can't rescue these prisoners. And on top of that, everyone thinks he's an idiot, which is true.
Which we can't disagree with.
Sorry, Chaol, you did bring this to yourself. So Chaol is really down in the dumps about how dumb he is. So he's wandering the streets, just kind of moping around. He ends up wandering up to Nesrin's father's house, and then he finds her, and he's talking to her. He's sad. He's so upset. He said, I'm such a loser. Everybody hates me. And Nesrin, bless her heart, she's like, let me try to help you process what you're going through. And let's just do this. Hypothetically, let's pretend that Aelin could be correct about Dorian being completely gone. Maybe you should create a new game plan to save this kingdom. And then Chaol, he's just like, Aelin is not the answer, and you just wouldn't get it. You don't understand. To which Nesrin claps back finally, and she's like, you don't think I understand what's at stake? I don't care about your prince, not in the way that you do. I care about what he represented for the future. And then she goes on to explain why, like her immigrant traumas from her family coming in and being attacked and segregated and looked down upon, and the king of Adarlan, how she wants to make sure that everyone else who's in the same situation that she's in doesn't have to go through that. And I'm glad that she finally said something, because Chaol is a little bitch.
Yeah, I'm glad she spoke up too, because Chaol is thinking about Dorian as his friend, but he's not thinking about, he's thinking about the kingdom, but he's not putting the kingdom over Dorian, which I think in this situation, the outcome of the kingdom needs to be thought about. That needs to be put first, and he's only thinking about Dorian, which is respectable. But I'm glad Nesrin said it.
I've seen so many memes about Chaol and how he loves, quote unquote, loves Dorian so much. He's like, but Dorian, do you still think about me? Like, he's
I love
obsessed
that.
with him.
He low-key is. What if it was read? So, like, how in the first book, like Throne of Glass, it shows like all those scenes where Chaol is looking at Selena and Dorian and just being like, oh, so sad. What if it was actually Dorian he was pining over and not Selena? Also, side note, I don't know if we mentioned that Nesrin is like a different ethnicity. It describes her as having like squinted eyes and like jet black hair. She has like Asian type qualities.
Oriental type qualities.
Yeah. So
brown skin.
That's why she was talking about like segregation and, things being like looked down upon. It was a lot because of her race. I don't know if we talked about her kind of
not
outward
a whole
appearance.
Lot. No, if you guys have questions, you'll have to write in, I guess, or read the book, because right now she's just like a side character in my opinion. So that's why I have not delved too much into her details.
Yeah.
All right. And okay, so we just covered how Chaol is a crybaby. Now we're moving on to Aiden and Aelin. So Aiden pulls through from his injuries and getting out of the castle, and him and Aelin finally have their wholesome family reunion. But in his POV, I am still getting these vibes that he might love her beyond just familial. And let's just remember, I have this vibe because in Air of Fire, there was a section that hinted at the possibility of him and Aelin having an arranged marriage to unite forces. So my question and my theory is there going to be another love triangle?
That's so icky. I can't.
It is icky. And the thing that I can respect, though, about this is they both see each other mostly as family. And they're like, I would marry them just like to do what we need to get done, but I would rather not, so I can respect that, but it's still.
I will say, I feel like in their POVs, like even when they were talking about like a marriage between Aiden and Aelin, like when they were younger and stuff like that, they were both like appalled by the idea. And like now in their POVs, it's still like it describes them as having like deep love and respect for each other, but never anything
Serious.
romantic. So if there was, something that were to happen in the future, who knows? But I don't think that it would be their choice.
Yeah. But Aiden definitely loves Aelin a lot. Like, that's why I'm still getting those vibes, because I'm like, in his POV, he's like, gosh, she's so beautiful. She's so strong. I've missed her so much. I just want to make sure she's safe. I'm going to take care of her and do whatever she needs me to do. Love that.
I think he treats her like Chaol respects Dorian.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
think
I
that's
mean?
fair.
Like I think he sees her as like this queen that he has to protect and would give his life for, just like Chaol feels that way. That was the connection that I made when I was reading it.
I think that's fair. I think that's actually pretty accurate. I like that.
But he is obsessed with her.
Love that. Okay, so we know that Aelin destroyed Arobyn's vaults in respect for Sam, but now Arobyn is needing to find a new place to make his money and do some investments. But to gain ownership of this new location he's found, he's got to prove that he could supply good fighters for this crowd, because it's another underground facility. It's called the Pits. Right. It's called the Pits. And it's essentially the same thing as the Vaults, except it's like underground fight club. And it's all about the Valg demons kind of watching everybody get beat up. And they just love the violence and the fear. And it's just gross and scary. So he's like, this is the perfect place for me to invest. So he invites Aelin. He's like, I need you here. We need to have a main event. You're that person. You're the main event. Please come up and then uphold your end of the bargain, aka capture a Valg guard so he can take it home and experiment on him. She arrives. She's in her little assassin disguise. She's got her face covered, and then she's got something like kind of altering her voice as well. So it's completely disguised. Nobody knows who she is. And she fights under the name of Ansel Briarcliff, which I thought was interesting. I know that there is something related to that area, I guess, to where Ansel came from. And that's why she was like, okay, I'll just fight under her name. But I just feel like this is a little flag. Like, we're about to see Ansel again for some reason.
Yeah, it could be. But she also, I think that's where Ansel was from initially. I can't remember anything special about it. But
it just seems like such a little random, like, oh, we remember this girl. Like, you remember we talked about her. So I'm curious to see if she's going to come back up in this series at some point. I feel like she is, especially since Manon is also trying to go back to the Western Waste. So I feel like Ansel's going to make a comeback. And I'm like, is she going to be a good or is she going to be evil? Whose side is she going to be on? Because Manon's going to come after her and she's going to try to fight Manon. And then Aelin and her ended on the wrong foot. So if she ever runs into Aelin again, are they going to be friends? Or I don't know. There are so many questions.
So many possibilities.
Okay, so the fight's about to begin, and they tell Aelin that there are no rules, essentially. The only rule is no weapons allowed. Everything else is fair game, and they allow her to pick her opponent. She picks the biggest and the scariest Valguard of them all, and as she begins fighting, Chaol is just kind of stunned at this another sight of a queen here in the slums fighting in a fight pit, and she's not even like really fighting. Like, she's not having to defend herself. It's very obvious that she's toying with this opponent and just trying to show off and embarrass them. Eventually, though, I know she's just like, and it's like nobody even knows. And Chaol is just like, this is literally insane. A queen is down here doing this. Like, she's just playing.
Just for funsies.
So she's playing around, and eventually this guard bites her. And she's like, I'm so sorry. He bites her, and he tastes that he can tell from her blood that she is demi-fae. And he starts running his mouth, and he's threatening to take her to Duke Parrington to see what they've been doing to people like her, like the prisoners who had just vanished that Chaol was looking for. And before he's able to finish that threat, Aelin runs, sprints at him, tackles him to the ground, and snaps his neck. And that's not all. Even after they deemed her the winner, she stomps out a hidden dagger in her boot, and then she cuts off this guy's head and smashes it into the ground with her boot. Like, she's curb stomping this decapitated head. And I'm just like, okay, that was quite a 0 to 100 moment, but go off, queen. Love that.
People in the audience were like, oh,
We're like,
oh, well, this was just a fight.
yeah. Everybody's like, this, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe the
This
crowd was
crazy
like,
bitch.
woo.
They probably were, but there was somebody there that was like, holy shit.
You
What
know who it
kind of
was?
overreaction?
It was probably Chaol.
Yeah, a little bitch. God,
He's probably
hate
like,
him.
okay,
He's
now
like,
a queen
oh,
is
no,
cutting off
remember.
someone's head and she's curb stomping their head into the
But
ground.
don't you want a queen to be like that? Boots on the ground, hands dirty, do what you got to do.
Yeah, seriously. I would be very scared to get on her bad side and it would keep me in order.
It's
You
like
know?
a manager that has never worked in the position that they're like
Ugh.
managing over. Those are the worst managers. They don't know what the
Mm-hmm.
fuck they're doing. But a
Mm-hmm.
manager that has had their boots on the ground, had their hands dirty, been in with the scum of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
they're good
No,
ones.
yeah.
Not really scum, but you know what I mean.
Us, we're scum of the earth.
Us, yeah, it's us.
Okay, so Arabin was like, wow, that was a fantastic show. But I did want this guard alive and just unconscious, not decapitated and smushed. And she's like, oh, so sorry. So he's like, listen, quit playing games with me. I already helped you get your cousin out of prison. So if you want to know where Sam's burial site is, then you will listen to me and you will get that guard that I want. So that kind of hit home for her. And she's like, fuck, whatever. Okay, I guess I'll try to find a guard for him. Okay, so that's the end of this scene. We're going to move on to Morath again. Since Astrid is no longer by Manon's side as her second, she makes use of her time by going to interrogate little Alide for more information about herself. We learned that Alide is 18, which means she was probably about 8 years old when magic vanished, and she never had the opportunity to claim her powers, which usually happens after a witchling's first period and is set after their first flight. Iron Teeth blood is passed through maternal lines, which is a news to Alide because her mother never told her anything about her heritage. And all of this is brand new news to Alide, and it's making her skin crawl that Uncle Vernon might know that she has witch's blood in her system. And she's realizing this is likely why he kept her chained up and her windows barred, because witch blood would make her crave this freedom and open air. And it's also probably why he brought her here, to possibly offer her to the king as an offering for this breeding experiment that's going on. Alide leaves this conversation with Astrid and she quickly hobbles up to Manon's room. She steals some coins and she's like, I gotta get out of here. Astrid catches her immediately. She's like, I see you. What are you doing? What's good? And then Manon catches both of them. She's like, what are you guys up to? And Astrid spills everything that she's learned. And Manon is like, listen, I really don't care what Vernon is up to. She is basically his human pet. And no concern for us. So quit acting like a simpering mortal. Poor Astrid. I feel so bad for her right now.
I know. I feel like she is like changing a little bit as far as like her, like the emotion she's expressing and like the desires, but like also she's really getting beat down for all of her emotions. It's really sad.
Yeah, I feel bad too because it's like I know that she's coming at Manon from a place of sympathy for these witchlings and witches that are being experimented on, but it's just such a tricky situation for Manon, I think. It is making me a little frustrated with Manon that she's like so against Astrid helping or giving her 2 cents. It's almost like she's afraid to face what she's actually feeling herself. Like she knows what she's saying is true, but she's like, I can't accept that part of me because then that means I'm breaking the code of like following the commands.
Yeah, and what is she saying she keeps saying like all the things like in the book that were recited to her by her grandma, like be ruthless, never hold back, anything like that. And she keeps saying like that. She's like, if I listen to Astrid, if I push back at anything, I'm completely disregarding all the things we've ever been taught. But then she's also thinking like, are the things we were taught right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I like. She's having like this really deep internal struggle, but she's being such a bitch to Astrid. Poor Astrid.
Poor Astrid. It's tough. So Manon takes Alide back to her room. She's walking her and she's talking about the money that she stole. She's like, what are you doing with this money? Why'd you do that? And Alide's like, I'm trying to hitch a ride out of here at the next supply wagon that gets up here. So she's like, you know what? Keep the money. You, do your thing. I don't really give a fuck. And then she asks, why does she think that Vernon is trying to use her? If he was going to use her, wouldn't he have already done that? And then Elida's like, well, he likes to play games and he's probably just waiting for one of you guys to confirm his suspicions. And as they're talking, they round a corner and they run into the man himself. They go back and forth, he and Manon, about what he's doing here. They're like, what are you doing here? No, what are you doing here? No, what are you doing here? And then finally Manon's like, seriously, what the fuck? Why are you here? And Vernon is just like, I wanted to come here and give Elide a little reminder of what day it was today. The day that Chaol, Lowen, his brother, and her father was put down for trying to lead a rebellion group against the king. And he wanted to remind Elide that her dad was always going to be remembered as a traitor. What a fucking asshole.
What a dick.
He's just like, oh no, I just wanted to tell you.
He said, by the way, I know you had no part in this and you were just a child, but let me absolutely demolish your dad, how you were feeling, everything that's going on. How about I just make you feel like a piece of shit?
Yeah. And then he's like, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. You guys carry on. Have a good day.
Oh, so sad.
So Manon continues walking Elide back to her little tiny closet room. And she does a quick assessment of this room. And she notes an item that Elide says was gifted to her mom from her dad. And the gift was addressed to her mom by her first name, Marion. Lady Marion, who helped Aelin escape from being murdered. And the Lady Marion who also had a quiet daughter that Aelin felt like hated her. This is blowing my mind. So she is not only just a hybrid, she's also a part of the Galathinius court.
She sure
That's
is.
crazy. That gives me chills.
Sure is. I have chills right now too. Look at.
Oh, yeah, I got chills, and I can't tell if it's because I'm not wearing pants or because it's a crazy moment. Because in Elide's POV, she's always like, she's kind of like remembering Terrace and like why she's fighting, but she's like, I'm sure I thought somebody would come and find me. I thought for sure Aelin would come and save me, but everybody's forgotten about me. Nobody thinks about me. Nobody remembers me. I'm a nobody. And so it's really crazy to think like she thinks so small of herself, and she's yet such a potentially big person for Aelin's court. And like who Aelin is today is because of her mom. It's just like, it's so crazy.
I'm going to start crying.
I know.
It really got me.
It's so crazy.
I was also thinking ahead for things that happen in the book too. Got me really emotional.
Oh shit. Well, this is not cool. Are you crying? Oh.
I'm also on my period, so just disregard. Give me a second.
He said, suck it up. Suck up those tears.
You know I can't. Now that I'm off Lexapro, I cry every day. Something sets me off.
No, I love that though. I wish I was that able to cry. I think that would help me a lot.
Maddie says she thinks I'm chronically dehydrated, probably from crying. She's like, you cry more than anyone I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's true. Okay. Yeah. We're good?
Yeah.
You good? Okay, cool. So before Manon leaves Elide's room, she thinks a little bit and she's like, you know what? Let me give her a chance because she does have the blood in her and she's obviously frightened to death. So there's two ways that this could go. She gives Elide a choice. You can either pick blue, like your blood runs blue, like a Iron Teeth witch, or you can pick red and you can stay a human. In which case, if she chose blue, she would be under Manon's protection and she would have free reign to kill Vernon if he laid a hand on Elide. But if she did not pick blue, Elide would remain Vernon's human pet, and Manon has already decided she'd be interested to see what kind of plans Vernon had planned for her. So Elide obviously picks blue. She says, I'm a witch, and maybe I'll even learn how to use some pointy claws and teeth out there.
I think this was such a big moment too in the book because in Elide's POV the whole time, like she's like terrified of the witches. She's like, Manon scares me so much. Like even though she puts on a really brave face and like she tries her best, she's like terrified of the witches. So I think for her to be able to like trust them was like a big moment for her.
She's like, fake it till you make it, I guess, because I have no other choice. It's either them and they're badass at least and they're willing to protect me, or creepy Vernon over here.
Yeah, who just came and reminded her about her dad for no reason.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So back over in Rifthold, since Aiden has had nothing other than to like mope around the apartment and just chit chat with whoever came in, he has been bored to death. So all he's been doing is using his face senses to pick up on certain things. Like he can smell Rowan all over Aelin. And he remembers hearing these crazy stories from his dad about Rowan. Like Rowan turns out is hella old and hella notorious. He is a legendary Fey warrior and probably the most powerful full-blooded Fey warrior there is known. So Aiden thinks it's appropriate that Rowan is potentially Aelin's partner, and he's actually excited to meet him if he ever gets the chance. So Aiden and Aelin are kind of just talking about all this, about how much he's missed her, how bored he is, yada, yada, yada. And then they move on to talk about more serious things, like the sacred blood oath that Aelin was supposed to give him for his birthright. Like that was his birthright. He was supposed to get that blood oath. And there's only, apparently in the Terracin culture, there's only one person you can give that blood oath to. And that was his birthright. So he is just, talking. He's like, don't worry about it. Like, I get it. We're going to do it whenever the time's right. No rush. Like, don't worry about me, girl. I'm just looking forward to that day whenever you're ready, of course. And so before she has a chance to confess the awkward truth that Rowan actually took that, Chaol enters with news that the shadow market has been burned to the ground. And obviously, Chaol is here not only just to tell her about this news, but to blame her about this news and accuse her for not caring about anyone but her own court. The city is in chaos and people are still missing and dying. And she's intentionally, he says in his POV, he's like, you're intentionally delaying freeing magic because you're doing your own thing. You don't care about us. You don't care about anything but yourself. Just reiterating the whole reason why he hates her right now. So she finally snaps. She's like, need I remind you, Captain, that when you went to Endovir, you didn't blink an eye at all the slaves or the mass graves you saw. Need I remind you that I was chained and I was starved, and you let Duke Parrington throw me to the ground and did nothing. And you have the nerve to accuse me for not caring about the people in this very city who have only profited from the blood and misery of the people that you ignored? And that, my friend, shut Chaol right up. And I said, thank you, ma'am. Oh, I bet he felt so stupid.
God, somebody needed to say it. Somebody needed to humble him. When I was hearing him, when I was reading that scene about him saying all of that, my blood was boiling. I was like, please, please pop off at him. And our girl, she did.
She did. And she's been biting her tongue a lot. Like she's been like, kind of sticking up for herself here and there, but she finally was just like, fuck you. Like I owe these people nothing. You should be happy that I'm even here right now because I owe these people nothing. So
yeah. Well, and she's not trying to destroy Aderlin. She's literally only trying to
stop the king
and to free magic so that she can stop the king. Like those are her only two goals, and try to save Dorian. But like at this point, she's pretty confident that he's like a lost cause, So she could have every right to be vengeful and want to take the entire city down, but she doesn't. That's not her goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chaol, eat a bag of dicks.
That's just our podcast slogan.
Podcast. Eat a bag of dicks. Slay. Okay, so later on that night, after Aelin's cooled down, she goes off to do some investigating. She's trying to track down the Val Guard for Arabin, and she's in the sewers following one when it reaches the end of a tunnel to a pool of water. This commander ended up kneeling down to the ground when this horrendous large figure began to rise from the water. And it is one of the 8 gargoyles on the clock tower that were pointing at the word marks in the castle guarding, standing in the flesh. And the scariest part about this word hound was the voice that it had. It had the voice of the king, which meant somehow he's managed to gain access over this other entity and control over this creature. So I'm just kind of terrified at this point because where does his magic end? And he's getting very strong, it seems. I'm scared.
He is. He's getting very strong, and it seems like he is successfully building an army.
Yeah, like there's so much going on right now at this point, and he's got eyes everywhere, people everywhere. I'm scared. I'm very
scared.
Now
the tables are so uneven too because he has full access to magic. Like he has access to do stuff with the word stones. It seems like he is creating these weird, like, demon inhabitant things with the demi-fae. Like he
Mm-hmm.
has access to magic of some kind and nobody else does. So
Yeah.
the tables are so uneven right now. They just need to release magic somehow to at least get on an even playing field.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm scared. So hopefully she can figure out a plan for that to happen sometime soon because things are not looking great. So Aelin gets back home that evening and she finds Aiden wanting to pull out his hair from boredom. And she's like, you know what? Why don't we go out for drinks? Okay. They go out, they're walking around the city, the streets, and they run into Nesrin and they invite her to come along because she looks like she needs a friend. And then they address the elephant in the room and they ask Nesrin about Chaol being her and Chaol being a thing. And Nesrin is like, no, it's not a thing anymore. He seems pretty content on being miserable, and I'd rather not live like that when we could die any day. T. Protect your peace, girl.
Amen.
Then they continue walking down this dark alley when Aiden stops them and grabs his fighting knives after a man taller than him, powerfully built, heavily armed, and hooded steps through the fog. Aelin steps forward and then she sprints after this man, runs right into him. The man grabs her, lifts her up, and she cries and she laughs and she buries her face into his neck. Nesrin asks who it is, and Aiden smiles and said, Rowan. I am obsessed with that meme. If you guys haven't already, I posted a little video with the Rowan song with the hawk in it. So you guys got to go.
Did you
check
take
that out.
that video?
Yeah, that was real. It was real. It was Rowan. He was watching me.
I wasn't sure if you shared it from someone else. You said, but Rowan is watching over me.
Yeah, no, it was so random. And I was like, baby,
Rowan,
what are you doing here?
Rowan.
And I was scared he was going to peg my eyeballs out, but he didn't. But yeah, Rowan's here. Yay!
Woo! You actually told that really well. I didn't know where you were going with that for a second. I forgot. I was like, a man in a fog. I was like, oh no, what's happening? Took me a second, but you told that very well.
Thank you, baby. I'm trying to get into my storytelling era again. You know what I'm saying?
That was very good. Very, very good.
Thank you so much. And also, we didn't say it, but Aelin has been missing her Caranam partner. So she is very happy to see him. She's been thinking about him, missing him, hoping he's okay. And I'm just, now he's here. Baby boy's here.
Baby boy.
Yeah, but the happy moments end pretty quickly thanks to Rowan. So they go back to their apartment. He gets cleaned up and she tells him that she missed him. And even though we read in his POV that he's obviously missed her too, he tells her, haven't I told you about people you care about will be used as weapons against you? That's pretty foolish of you to miss me. Way to kill the mood. That's all I've got to say. And he has also another thing he wants to kill, the vibes of the family gathering. He's got these great sniffing skills, it seems. So he's like smelling around and he can pick up some notes on Aiden. So not only is Aiden related to Aelin, but he is also the son of one of Rowan's close compadres, Gavriel. And normally, this wouldn't be too terrible to be the son of a famous warrior, but this one is sworn to Maeve. So if Maeve finds out that Aiden is alive, she's going to try to claim him as her own. And that's terrifying.
That is so scary.
Yeah, imagine finding out who your real dad is and then being like, dang, he's like a famous warrior. And also now I'm risk of being taken away from this queen that I'm supposed to protect and serve a queen who's evil.
Yeah, well, and literally Maeve is such a terror. It's like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, so that kind of killed the vibe. Because now like Aelin's like, don't worry, don't freak out. Like, you're fine here. You're still mine. Like, you're in my court. Nothing's gonna change. And then let's also remember how territorial Fae males are. So when it comes to Aelin, Aiden and Rowan are having, as she says, a pissing contest to see who's more alpha. And Aiden, it says some slick remark questioning Rowan's protectiveness, and Aelin is trying to de-escalate the situation. But since he's kind of on a roll of killing the vibe, Rowan is like, I'm blood sworn to you. So that means I don't particularly care of being questioned by others, even if it is your cousin. And Aiden is like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What was that? And Aelin is like, oh, yeah, I gave Rowan the blood oath, but that was because I thought that you were loyally serving the king of Adarlan. And Aiden blows up, loses his shit, and they go back and forth when Aelin is finally like, get the fuck out of my sight until you've calmed down. That was hella awkward, though. Lots of things.
Yeah. I mean, but that's fair. He's been gone until just now. You know what I mean? Like, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And also, yeah, last thing she knew, she thought that he was serving the king and doing his own thing up in the north, you know?
Yeah.
So that's awkward. Rowan, he's a sassy motherfucker. He
doesn't give a fuck.
He does not give a fuck about anybody's feelings. He's just like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
He's like, sorry.
So Rowan and Aelin continue their talking, and he explains why he's actually here. Another one of May's blood-sworn Fey warriors was sent here to track down Aelin and get the third word key. His name is Lorcan or Lorcan? Lorcan. And from the sounds of it, he's scarier than Rowan. Aelin is like, yeah, another person after me. Do you want to sleep in my bedroom tonight? And then Rowan is like, so stupid. He's like, I don't know, Aelin, this might give people the wrong message if I sleep in your room. And with the door closed, I can't. And she's like, And so he's trying so hard to deny his feelings for her, deny that he's missed her. And it's made even harder when she purposely comes back out of her closet in a very short, very pink lingerie set to go to bed beside him. And he's like, what's that? Because I guess lingerie is not existing in Wendland where he's from. And she's like, it's either this or I sleep naked because he gets so hot at night. And that's where we end the story.
Oh my God. I love it. And in his POV, he's like, what the fuck is that? Like, he's like, why is she wearing something like this? Like, he is flustered.
He's flustered. He's like, I feel things right now and I should not. I don't want to. I don't want to feel like this. Why is she doing this to me? Why?
I love it. I love the buildup. It's we're heading toward that, but you just never know.
Just never know. So that is the end of this week's plot. Next week, come back as we take a peek at Sarah J. Maas's Queen of Shadows, chapters 30 through 39.
And be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at plot.peak for all. Wait, no, you got it wrong. No. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is Plot Peak Podcast and TikTok is plot.peak for memes. And that's it.
You went from like your little British accent to aggressive. He said, no, it's not.
Said, you're wrong.
And I wasn't even talking. He said, you're wrong.
What is wrong with you, you idiot? Sorry. I went real full aggressive there. I'm so sorry.
It was giving Aelin and the Fighting Pets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might as well just cut my head off and stomped me. When I didn't even do anything.
He said she's literally curb stomping someone's head.
She was. That's the way it sounded in the book. I was like, why is she going so hard? She said, smushing his head into the ground and then cuts it off. I'm like, that was really overkill. She seemed very triggered.
Have you seen, this is where it really starts to get so aggressive. Have you seen those like TikToks where it's like, it shows like Akatar and it's like, yes, queen. And then it's like throne of glass, slay your
enemies, raise your army, slay.
That really is how it gets so aggressive.
I can see it for real. But I'm here for it, honestly. It's a great story.
All right, well, that's it.
That's it. Had a great time. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
I don't know if you can see. I'm going to take a picture. It looks like our clouds are matching. Looks like they're connecting.
It does. I love that.
Oh, the light. Okay. All right.
Come on now.
Smile. I'm getting overwhelmed.
For taking a picture? He said, I can't do this anymore.
All right. Okay. All done.
Slay.